Welcome to the Mashup.
Tell me whether I'm wrong or right. East or west, up or down, side to side. I sit to stand and fall to fly. Of all of my impulsive plans, poppin', locking, salsa dances on demand. I follow leading off the map and stop the chatter, scream happily.
Welcome to the Mashup.
Welcome to the mashup. Welcome to the welcome to the mashup.
Welcome to the Mashup.
There's certain things in life that we just know are true without anybody having to explain them to us. Like cutting a car in half does not make it into a garage, or that dinklage is the best possible name for a midget. Welcome to the mashup, folks.
How's Twos doing?
Twos is just game face. It's a big day.
Well, welcome to Mashup 191. I got to give a shout out to, as everybody can tell, I'm not in studio. I'm at the Koza residence. So shout out to all the Koza family for putting me up for an evening on the, now we are on the eve of the Mash Spiel. So welcome to
Mash Spiel Eve. So make sure you leave out your curling brooms. And if you're really good, then St. Jonathan will come through the rink doors and leave you all rink burgers.
Twos, how good of a curler are you actually?
I don't know. It's been a while.
I'm like, my one goal, we don't get to play each other in the round robin play. My goal is like, we either are both really good.
You set up the brackets.
Yeah, I know. But I made sure that one of us
useless.
No, one of us has always got to be around the people. So I made sure to separate us so that we only meet in the championship. So you better be good. Because I paid some high profile people to come play for me.
I'm sure you did.
5-star hotel rooms and everything.
Oh, they get the 5-star hotel rooms.
All right. Welcome to Mashup 191, folks. If you're enjoying the show, like, share, put it out there. And, happy Airborne Friday. Jamie Sinclair is on the road today, heading towards Kalmar for tomorrow's festivities, along with Chuck Prodnick, Willie McDonald, and a couple other military veterans. And we got some other people on the road. So safe travels, everybody coming this way. Yeah. Hopefully we won't have as many issues as we've had this morning with X going down. It seemed across the board. So that made life a little interesting for, I'm sure, Twos, but certainly myself. And hopefully everything else just goes relatively smooth on this show today. We're gonna find out. What else can I say?
Thing, if you ever got a peek back behind the curtain on the mashup, the way the sausage is made is that Twos just bookmarks everything in Twitter, and if he happens to see something outside of Twitter, he will go find a tweet about it and then bookmark that thing. And so then, when it comes time to compile the great list we call weekly news, with all the links and everything in there, I just go through the bookmarks and I'm like, okay, I read that. Okay, yeah, that's making the cut. That's in. No, that isn't. And I just go through. And that's really hard to do when the entire X server is down.
Yes, you realize how much I don't know about you, and I don't know about all the rest of the listeners and watchers for that matter, how much you rely on X for your news feed. It's like, what's going on in the world? And you go to it and you go, oh. And then you wake up this morning and it's like, what the heck is this?
If X is down, it doesn't really affect Ryan Jesperson or Courtney Theriault.
I think it probably does. I'm just going to say it probably does, but who knows? Okay, we got a full show today, and we're going to start with a little Coots 6.5. We haven't talked about the justice system in a couple, at least for myself. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the Nova Scotia man?
Yeah, man who raped and cut off the head of an Ontario girl who was 12 had his day parole extended.
Yeah, okay. So to give a little, he's 73-year-old Douglas Worth. He was convicted back in 1978. He was convicted of raping an Indigenous girl in Ontario and sentenced to 8 years before being released in June of 87, roughly 7 months before he killed Campbell. That's the one he went to jail for, 35 years, right? So he's now out as an old man, and Yeah, and they're like, he's a high risk of offense, but the reason we're letting him out is because he's old and we don't think he can do anything.
Yeah, okay. So we need to be sympathetic because he's old. 1 second here. I'm just gonna turn the lights down a bit because I'm about to get fucking dark. You know who isn't gonna get old? Trina Campbell. So, we don't want to take away the best years of his life? Guess who the fuck he did that to already? He raped and beheaded her. Honestly, the only thing, if you're going to be that sick and twisted, at least behead first. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? And we're like, oh, well, you know what? He's super old. You know, he shouldn't have to miss out on the last years of his life. She missed out on almost every single one of hers, you dipshits.
Lethbridge police rearrested and charged an accused sex offender for breaching the conditions of a release order approximately half an hour after he was released from custody. So that happened, and I don't know if you're going to show it or not because we've been.
I can't. But here's the gist of it: is that he tied up 3 teenage girls in a house, presumably his house, but not necessarily. And then he had a bunch of men coming in and out and raping them. And he was keeping them drugged so that they couldn't get away. Somehow, I'm not sure exactly how, he gets arrested for it. And then, in classic Canadian justice system, he gets released on parole. And here's actually where it gets good and interesting, is that the cops, to their credit, were like, well, this is a little bit fucky. And so they said, we're just going to put a surreptitious tail on this guy. And 30 minutes later, he gets rearrested for breaching his bail conditions. The ink wasn't even dry on his bail release, and he was already getting brought back in.
And then there was another one on a Calgary woman had been lured into a house, presumably from the story that she was being showed a rental property or looking at buying something. And then a man attacked her and she killed him. And the Calgary police came out and said, basically, it's an open and shut case of self-defense. And everybody was applauding that too. You know, like on the dark side of what's going on. I mean, it's still a dark story. Woman fought him off, killed him. And the police came out saying it was self-defense.
Yes, which is, well, and that's why I was like, you know, we could put that in the happy news or we could put it here where we could actually, I wasn't quite sure where it belonged in the mashup. I only knew that it definitely did.
Here's one that hits close to home, okay? I pulled this one into the Coot 6.5 as well. Someone had put out on X, anyone hear about this? An East Indian taxi driver picked up an intoxicated girl from the bar, called a few of his buddies, took her to a hotel room, and violently raped her for an hour until the guests called the police, who kicked down the door around 3 a.m. to stop it. It happened in Lloyd. And then Crazy Rider fan had posted the story. A routine noise complaint at Lloydminster Hotel early last week has resulted in sexual assault investigation and charges against 3 men. Lloydminster RCMP say officers were called to arrive around the hotel about 3:47. This is back on December. I feel like we covered this, correct?
I don't think we did. Or maybe there just wasn't enough details and we didn't know what the hell was going on. And now more details are coming out. The problem with covering foreigners gang raping people in Canada is that it happens so often that it's kind of hard to keep track of them.
Well,
especially when they all have the same last name.
Yeah, well, I mean, this one hits close to home. You're like, you get a cab home as a drunk person, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In this case, it's a woman, and they take her to. Anyways, I'm like, it just makes my skin crawl. Like, yeah. So there's the Coot 6.5 this week. There's some seriously messed up stories going on in Canada. And as Tooz has pointed out, it continues to climb. It's not like it's declining. It's continuing to climb. We do have the Calgary police talking about self-defense, which is at least a bright side in a very dark realm of stories, because it just keeps getting worse and worse with some of the things going on. And you think it's all out east, Tooz. And then, you know, the Calgary story happens. She kills him. Then you have the Lloyd story. We're starting to get more, like the 3 men, Karen Jossie, Ganshamian Verma, and 45-year-old from Edmonton, Joginder Mommy. each charged
See,
with sexual
You're
assault
not
and
you're not
forcible
doing the
confinement.
accent thing. It's
I-
Joginder Mami. If we're gonna do it for the French names, if we're gonna do it for the Mexican names, we should do it for these names.
Sing for
Joginder
the moment.
Mami.
Sing for the year. Yes. Okay. All right. Sovereignty. Lots been coming out here with the petition for independence in Alberta. Tons of videos. Here's part of one of the stories. I mean, we can't even show the videos right now. Can you show any of these videos?
Yeah, I'm jacked in, ready to
Okay.
go.
Okay.
I've been
Here's
reloading
Red
all
Deer.
of
Wait. And yeah, check this
This is
out,
just
you
the
guys.
lineup. This is the lineup in Red Deer. When people talk about how disenfranchised people in Alberta are, and keep in mind, like, it's not just Alberta. Quebec is looking down the barrel of passing, like, the Parti Québécois is going to, they're leading in the polls, have been for years. Their election's coming up this fall. Tune in here for live coverage. And one of their key plank commitments is that they're going to have a referendum on separation. You've got rumblings about this in Saskatchewan. See, this isn't just an Alberta's a jerk thing. It's like in Justified. If you run into an asshole first thing in the morning, you ran into an asshole. If you run into assholes all day long, you're the asshole. And so if one province wants to declare its sovereignty and separate from Canada, maybe they're an asshole. But if all of them are saying, fuck this place, you're all a bunch of jerks, I'm pretty sure the assholes are in Ottawa.
And here was Rachel Parker talking about Eckville. So the Eckville town hall.
And that's probably way more people than live in Eckville, by the way.
And so 1,788 was the count there. So you're just seeing, like, it's just,
it's getting to the point where the mainstream media has to talk about it. They didn't
Correct.
talk about this when the Forever Canada petition was happening. And now they're talking. I didn't see a single article about lineups or historic turnouts. In fact, I saw one saying that they were having trouble getting signatures.
well, actually, I think all the articles we covered or all the things we looked at while that was going on was the bus. They traveled everywhere and had that
Yep.
bus, and they were going to, from the stories I've heard, old folks' homes and things like that. This is able-bodied Albertans standing out in the cold, waiting hours to sign a petition.
Yeah. Although there's been a pretty good Chinook coming through this province lately. So cold's a bit of a stretch. But at the same time, I take your point. And then, of course, you've got people like this expert on First Nations who also, for some reason, happens to be a ginger. Say what you want about the First Nations community. Maybe you don't like them. Maybe
They don't
you
want a
take umbrage
ginger
with some
talking
things,
for them?
but they don't have any fucking gingers in the group. All right. Now, this is one I definitely want to play. So this is a clip that AM Talk Radio pulled from an interview with CTV that I wasn't able to get the actual interview because X was down, and I wanted to do a deep dive into this. But luckily, Courtney Theriault, good for once in his life for something, girl's name, by the way, pulled this clip. And so here, let's listen to this.
I think that Alberta has done tremendous disservice to itself by allowing this dangerous referendum to go ahead, regardless of whether you're pro or against separation. The fact that we're going to have this conversation means that it's going to destabilize the local economy. And all you have to do is look at Quebec 30 years ago, where they had a referendum that was much closer than I think the one in Alberta is going to be, and they've never recovered from it. Their economy has been one of the have-nots for some time now, where it used to be one of the haves. And it's not an accident. Businesses will run at the thought of instability. We've already seen it in Canada when it comes to the US menacing us. We're now going to shoot ourselves in the foot. And it doesn't have to be that way. We have a premier with an economics degree. If she can't put forward the numbers for why this is good news, then the best thing to do is shut it down before it does damage. I think that Alberta is not going to grow nearly as fast as it could. And that's going to have consequences for our provincial budget, which they can't balance as well, and our population outlook, which is going to partly determine our future growth pattern.
Okay. So a few things to unpack there. He said specifically, here, let's go to him talking about fucking Quebec.
Time now where it used to be one of the haves, and it's not an accident. Businesses will our economy has been one of the have-nots for some time now, where it used to be one of the haves.
It's been one of the have-nots for some time now, and it used to be one of the haves. What he's talking about is equalization here. So for those of you who don't know, equalization was brought in 1957. And from 1957 until 2025, Quebec has been a have-not province every single fucking year. They are the most perennially disappointing province in this entire country. They have never done anything other than hold their hands out. They are the fucking Cleveland Browns of economy. They have sucked every single year since 1957. So this guy, who's an economist, is saying something that is patently fucking false. And here's the other thing, is that he's saying that the reason why Quebec's economy was tanking was because of the talk of separation in 95. And he's partially correct. And this is where these fucking chuds, or cheds in this case, get things partially correct and incredibly misleading. All right, let's say you got a fucking boat and it's going down the sea, the ocean, the river, whatever, and it's dragging its fucking anchor. And then the anchor says, "Oh, well, I do not feel, how you say, included. I want more money. I think I may cut the anchor chain." Well, who the fuck is going to invest in an anchor that is talking about cutting the fucking chain? Nobody. But here's the difference, is now this is Alberta saying we're tired of dragging anchor since 1957. We're thinking about cutting the chain. Are you going to invest in a ship that's already moving forward and also runs the risk in a project management sense? Risk could be either positive or negative. It's just an uncertainty. But an opportunity is there for them to cut the fucking chain and quit dragging anchor. Of course you're going to fucking want to invest in that. And the reason why they didn't want to invest in fucking Quebec is because if the anchor says, I want to separate from the boat, it's going fucking nowhere.
Sorry, let's get to this comment. Tracy says, yes, the people in the lineup. However, missing is a few key points. The lawyer in the mix, oath to the crown. That's an issue. Second, the doctor in the group was connected with the EU, etc. So how exactly is this a grassroots movement? And then says, Sean, seriously, one with research skills, etc. Ask yourself, am I doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do? Sorry, this year we'll be missing the cornerstone. There were repeated guests, so I opted out. Perhaps Edmonton will get an effort.
I mean, we're not going to please everybody. Let's break this down a little bit, though.
Oh, sure.
All right. Yes, the people line up. However, missing the lawyer in the is she talking strictly about the Cornerstone Forum? Is there a lawyer as one of the guests?
No, I think the first part is to do with independence petition. Correct?
Okay.
Sorry, Tracy. I assume that's what you're talking about. Because I don't think I have a doctor. I don't think I have, going through the list right now, I don't think there's a lawyer either, if I'm being
okay. All right. So
being honest. So I think that's to do with the independence.
Okay.
And
so
then
all right.
Sure.
The oath to the crown. Now, having not looked directly at what oath he swears to the crown, given that there is part of the charter accounts for secession or sovereignty. And also, you've got the entire Clarity Act. To the best of my knowledge, nothing that any of the sovereigntist movement people are doing is in any way conflicting with what's permissible by the crown. You could make an argument that who the fuck are they to decide what we can do? But at the end of the day, I don't think anything's existing outside of that to begin with. And the doctor in the group was connected to the EU. I don't know which doctor that is.
Well, that's why I say I would like more on that part. As for the Cornerstone Forum,
the repeated guests, so she's opting out.
I don't know. I mean,
there's some repeated guests.
There's some repeated guests, but I mean, we just announced this week Neil Oliver. So I mean,
yeah, I mean, I was talking about it with Mrs. Twos, and I was like, it's probably about half and half.
Yeah, about that. I mean, returning guests, Tom Luongo, Alex Trainer, Matt Arrett, Tom Bodrovics is reprising his role on one of the roundtables as a host. You're coming back
I'm
as
just facilitating, but yeah.
I mean, but you're
Yeah.
coming back in a sense that way. Martin Armstrong is back. So there's about half, but Chad Prather, Karen Katowski, Neil Oliver, Larry C. Johnson, Vince Lanchi,
Danielle
they're
Smith.
all Danielle Smith. They're all new. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And as far as Calgary over Edmonton, right? Well, what was it?
Perhaps Edmonton will get an effort. Edmonton's had Sean Newman presents before. And
yeah, it's simple.
Edmonton isn't really that beautiful of a place.
I haven't been approached by any businesses in Edmonton to come do it there. The reason we went to Calgary was because of SGB and BVCU. It was pretty simple. I wanted to keep it in Lloyd. I wanted to stay there for another year and maybe another couple of years. And they made a case to bring it to Calgary. We did. It was greatly received. So we went back. So I don't know. I mean, it sucks that you're not coming, Tracy. But yeah, I don't know. As
maybe
for
you'll reconsider at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. As for doing the right thing, I don't know. Here in Alberta, we talk about the things that are going on. And one of the big things going on is the petition, is it not, Twos?
Well, look at everything in the Coot 6.5. Ask yourself how well you think that represents your thoughts and beliefs. Do you want to be part of a country that just normalizes that shit? Or do you want to be part of a country that when someone stabs a potential rapist, they're just like, oh, well, it's clearly self-defense. Have a good day.
Okay, moving on. Here's Holly Dawn. She says feds issue new guideline for concealing records effective January 26th, including
can we just pause that for a second? I want to do a bit of a deeper dive into the sentiment around separation.
Okay.
All right. So we got a few tweets here. It would not be peaceful. At minimum, Ottawa should destroy all federal infrastructure, immediately suspend all Canadian passports of Alberta residents, and never allow them to set foot ever again in Canada. Alberta will have access to the world only through the U.S. I love Canada. I remember during the Quebec referendum in 1995, I would be clear. I frequently use the quote, "My Canada includes Quebec." I love Alberta. I'm getting really tired of these clowns acting like we should try to leave. Knock it off. You look ridiculous. Turn Bragg Creek into a crater and dump dead Albertan babies in it. And then what the other guy, the guy a couple comments ago was talking about with this whole "we love Quebec," it was called the Love-In. Right before the referendum, we shipped people from all over the country into Montreal to tell them how much we love Quebec and we want them to stay in Canada and we appreciate you and you're wonderful. And people have been pointing out the difference in approach. In 1995, it was please don't go. We love you and we appreciate you. And now in 2025, it's fuck you, you bunch of jerks. We need to go scorched earth, salt earth, and just absolutely destroy everything. If you want to leave, we're going to make sure that there is nothing for you to leave with, you pricks. And I think, well, you know, people are very right in pointing this out. There needs to be a little bit of compassion and understanding for these people. And I know that you're looking at me like, from twos? But here's the thing, is they know in the back of their brain that it is a completely different culture. We do things completely differently. We have totally different values and we elect completely different people. And as a result, we have a completely different economy. And they know that in the back of their brain. And so they can't fault us for wanting to leave. And when you look at Quebec wanting to leave, you're like, guys, just come on, stay with the boat. Stay with the boat. We'll keep dragging you along. It'll all be fine. But if you're at the bottom of that anchor and you're looking up out of the water at the people ready to just go ka-tunk on that chain, it's a panic response. It's something, it's your lizard brain. You're not actually speaking to any of their higher functions when you're engaging in discourse with these people. You're speaking to their lizard brain. And they are looking at being fucking decimated if the cash cow that keeps, like, if the engine decides it wants to leave the train, the rest of the train is fucked. And if the engine is saying, you guys contribute absolutely nothing, they're saying, well, fuck, he's right. We can't say you're absolutely right. We can't say we've been dicks our entire lives. We have no good argument for you. And because of that, we're going to take this thing from the back of our head, and as it goes and it trickles, and
Kevin, I
percolates
was
through to
thinking,
the
I was
front
thinking
and in
the
your
same
mouth.
thing. Two starts talking about the lizard brain. I'm like, what do we got? We got the philosopher or the psychologist with twos on the morning mashup here. I just think it's hacking. The idea of Canada is this, like I think back to when I was a kid and Quebec was talking about leaving, and I was just like, leaving Canada, really? I mean, obviously I was just a kid. It's a large idea that you have to wrestle. What they're going to do? What? And I just think the more that's what you're attacking, this idea of Canada, and those people probably haven't spent a ton of time looking into how Canada operates. And then, because as you do, you're like, it wasn't that long ago I had Dennis Modry on. This is probably a year and a half ago when we had the discussion on the podcast about Alberta first versus Canada first. And he just started walking through, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, and or looking at how Quebec went about their things and having Ben Trudeau talk about it over and over again, right? Like you're like, oh, there's some things to that. And if you've never, if you just watch Team Canada play at the Olympics, you're right. This would affect that. And that is, well, I don't want that affected, but you're not looking at all the things we talk about on a week by week basis that is coming into Canada.
But that's exactly it. And that's where us being a completely different set of people with completely different priorities, values, and essentially a completely different culture, that's where it comes into play, is that we are not the same as them. They're saying we all have to be in this together. And we're saying we're tired of you guys being dicks.
We're tired of the federal government.
What's that?
We're tired of the federal government.
And we're tired of the people who are voting the people into the federal government who do this. Because let's be clear, if nobody out there voted for those people, they would not be able to do the things that they've been doing for the past 100 years. Okay? And so here's the thing, is that they realize it in the back of their heads, but it hasn't quite fermented enough. And so in the meantime, it just short circuits out their mouth saying that we need to turn Bragg Creek into a crater and fill it full of Albertan babies. And so have a little compassion for these people who are just lashing out.
Yeah, those
like
people are
spoiled
insane,
children who are about
anybody
to get
who
their
says
iPad taken
like
away.
to even like you highlight that tweet, I'm like, that person is absolutely insane. To even talk about something like that is insane.
They're a spoiled toddler who's looking down the barrel of getting their iPad taken away, and they're having tantrums. And you just have to realize that they're not very sophisticated and be patient with them, because to put the twos hat back on, they're fucking retarded.
Can we talk about Holly Doan yet? All right.
Yeah.
Holly Doan.
Let's talk about Holly Doan for like 20 minutes.
Here we go. Okay. First off, you've got feds issue new guidelines for concealing records effective January 26, including permanent deletion of emails deemed to have no ongoing business value after 30 days and chat posts within 15 days. Okay. And then the next one is documents, 12.1 million paid to BC First Nations to recover suspected Indian residential graves was budgeted for publicists and consultants. And government Indigenous attempted to conceal financial records under Access to Information Act. And then you have Canadian Heritage Memo cautions Minister Mark Miller that Canadians appear disengaged from government messaging, say feds are counting on CBC to promote social cohesion. And then it bleeds into the news article that's headline CBC News further expands local journalism bureaus. This year, CBC will add 33 local journalists and create 11 new bureaus, increasing its Canadian footprint from 66 to 77 locations. This boots on the ground investment is in addition to last year's local service expansion of 30 journalists hired in 22 communities across Canada. Many of new positions are based in central and western Canada. So they're in one breath, they're going to make, access to information, they're going to delete a whole bunch of stuff because they don't think it's pertinent.
Well, no, it's because they don't
want
to get caught.
Correct.
right?
And then they're going, we're losing social cohesion. We're losing our ability to influence the population. So they're talking about expanding to get back to that.
Okay. So there's a half dozen articles right there from Blacklocks in 1 week that nobody else is talking about. So
Isn't that what we love about Blacklocks?
Well, we love it about Blacklocks, but usually it's a little bit here and a little bit there mixed in with everything. And now, to be fair, because of the issues with X, I didn't get to go through all of the stuff for this week. But at the same time, Blacklocks had an absolute powerhouse week where they're the only people talking about this. And if you think it's important, you should think about subscribing to them. That's an unpaid endorsement. That's just me being a big fan
of Blacklocks. Here's one more. Senator Colin Deacon is founder of Halifax dental equipment supplier Blue Light. Senator and wife hold 10.7% of shares. Blue Light successfully applied for a loan with BDC Canada. Ethics and conflict of interest code forbids senators from holding any interest in any company that benefits from any business arrangement with a federal agency. So it's just another one in the grand scheme of the bureaucracy.
Well, look at this. Look at this. Okay, so there's an explicit rule that if you're going to be a senator, you cannot have a material interest in a company that benefits from any sort of business arrangement with any federal agency. You can't make money from the federal government outside of your senator's salary. You can't have any handshake deals for companies that you have any stake in. And yet, at the same time, apparently all you got to do is fill out a form saying, please give me a free pass to do whatever the fuck I want. And then it gets stamped by some idiot bureaucrat in Gatineau, and you're off to the races. And you and your wife can hold 10.7% shares. It looks like each. So I guess maybe I'm going to push back on Blacklock slightly. It's a little bit ambiguous whether it's 10.7% each or cumulative. And that, in the entire time, in 191 mashups, is the first criticism I've given Blacklocks.
Okay. Francois Legault.
No.
What do you want?
Minister Rebecca Alty, Northwest Territories Department, cited for breaching Act of Parliament in concealing records on purported graves of 215 children at Indian Residential School. Government of Canada Indigenous ordered by IOC, which is the Office of Information Commissioners of Canada, to begin releasing files within 36 days. So they said, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And then Blacklocks escalated the appeal. And now they're required to provide all the documentation in the next month. Look for them to keep filibustering on it. But the point is that, again, I didn't see anybody else covering this.
Yeah, well, it's one thing. You know, I tried getting Tom Korski in specific to come to the first Cornerstone Forum and the second. And he's told me they don't leave Ottawa, only for like a marriage, a funeral. But other than that, he said there's too much work to be done. That was Tom Korski's response of me inviting him to Cornerstone Forum, right? When you talk about having all the time in the world for that, what they do, there's a reason why they're breaking. Yeah, there's a reason why they're breaking all these stories.
I will switch him out for the weekend. Tom, if you're listening, I will fly out to Ottawa and I will cover your beat for the weekend so that you can come to the Cornerstone Forum. I completely understand that it will be in no way up to even a shadow of your
Two's takeover of Blacklocks for a weekend. That'd be fun. That would generate some headlines for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's switch to Francois Legault. Announced yesterday that he will step down as Premier of Quebec once his party selects a new leader.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, the Coalition Avenir Quebec, or CAQ for short, has been in power for the last 2 terms. And they're looking down the barrel of having something like 2 seats after the election this fall. Like 2. They're just about to be decimated. And for some reason, he's also coincidentally decided to resign. Now, to his credit, and I don't say this about frogs very fucking often, but to his credit, he didn't say he was going to do it to spend more time with his family. He said he was going to do it for the good of Quebec.
All right. That's a first from twos, a compliment.
Well, it's the first time I've ever heard that from a fucking politician.
Former CBC Human Resources employee sues over workplace so toxic staff were given a crying room. Carl Johnston worked in Human Resources with CBC North based in Yellowknife from 2018 until 2023. When he arrived to start his job at CBC North 5 years earlier, he walked past an empty office adjacent to the newsroom and asked if that was his new office. A CBC Human Resource staff member laughed and told him that office was the crying room where employees would go to cry to help cope with workplace stress, he says in a statement of claim. This set the tone for a workplace culture that tolerated and perpetuated toxicity, discrimination, and harassment. His salary at the time, too, is when he left CBC was $92,000, plus an annual bonus of $5,000, $5,500, an isolated living allowance of $25,000, and $1,900 in paid leave travel assistance. His lawsuit seeks 12 months' salary, benefits in lieu of notice of job loss, as well as $300,000 in damages for various alleged breaches of duty and contractual obligation. He claims that during his work in human resources, he noticed a disproportional number of marginalized candidates added to the do not hire list, and he was pressured to add Indigenous journalists to the list. Such a list, he claims, was unethical and strenuously kept secret. It was kept on personal laptops, not CBC computers, and it was not to be referenced in internal emails to avoid access to information requests.
Now, this is pretty fun. If he actually has a copy of that list, that would be pretty fucking neat, because with Office 365, you can actually go in and see who's edited it when. And so if he's just got a document saying, if it's just a printed off thing saying, yeah, here's everybody. But if you go into whatever sub tab it is and you show all of the edits, that's a big smoking gun. That guy's about to get fucking paid.
Here's some headlines. You can literally murder your wife and get a better eulogy than if you supported Trump. O.J. Simpson dead at 76 from cancer, family announces. And then Scott Adams, disgraced Dilbert creator, dies at 68. So if you didn't know, Scott Adams
O.J.
passed
Simpson
away.
Died. So did Nicole Brown, actually, now that we're on the subject.
Here is the U.S. Mint has stopped selling silver due to rapidly rising silver prices.
So, yeah, it sounds like, and I sent this to Nick because we were all talking about it the other day. Silharter.
That's how you're going to read it? Carry on with your story. I'm rocking a silver shirt today.
Silver. It's not silver, it's black.
Carry on, twos. Carry on with your jokes.
That's literally what we do here, Sean. Thank you.
I know it is. That's why I'm saying carry on.
You don't have to say carry on. It's literally like the next
Carry
thing.
on, twos. Carry on. You're filibustering. Carry on to where you're
there
going.
Will be
you
peace
were talking
when you were gone, Sean.
I can't wait to see you tonight. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited to be in the same room.
I'm busy.
Twos. Carry on.
I'm busy that day.
Carry on.
So anyway, yeah, we all came to the conclusion, which is basically me saying that some subject matter experts said that it's just because it's going up so quickly that that they don't even know how to price these coins for sale. And so they're just like, it's too crazy. It's too upwardly volatile. And we just need to sit back for a little while.
So silver is, I've been talking a lot about the silver.
Yeah. Okay.
Price
What's
on
silver?
The podcast.
Let's keep it. Carry on.
It's dropped. It's down to 122.54. So a slight decline from where it was.
So that means that in the last 16 days, it's only gone up $24.
Correct. Yeah. Silver's a wagon. I'm giving total credit to Nick for saying that on the podcast, but silver is a wagon right now.
Yeah, actually that episode, it was good because we went out for dinner the other night and I was going to ask, and then we got sidetracked and I never got around to saying, Nick, when are you going to come on another podcast? Because you're really good at it. Very well spoken and interesting. And then the next morning that dropped and I was like, okay, well, that answers like the one question I forgot to ask. So perfect.
All right, Jennifer L. You want to show her video? I think you do.
On the newest episode of What is Going On with the Métis Nation Saskatchewan, one of their regional directors was caught on some voice recordings acting completely unhinged. So much so that the president had to release a statement today saying that they do not support this type of behavior.
Just a quick side note. Yeah, if you're anything like me and you're always looking for fun and clever new ways to insult somebody, get a pen and paper ready. Here we go.
Which is really interesting considering how the president has acted on meetings, but regardless. This is Eastern Region 2 Regional Director Brent Dignas, and he is allegedly the one behind these voice recordings. So let's roll the tapes, and I can't let you listen to the full thing because it's that bad.
You got me riled up now, you son bitch. You got me riled up now, you fucking whore. You're an ignorant fucking bitch. You will never, ever, ever get help from the Métis Nation as long as I'm around. You ain't gonna get fuck all from me, you cow. You big ass bitch. You fucking snot-faced sow. Don't come to any more local meetings. You're not welcome there. You make me want to fucking puke, you dirty, rotten fucking slut. You scatterbrained bitch.
So, a few things.
Yeah.
Snot-faced sow.
Sow. Yeah. So Jennifer L, who's, I met her at a Cornerstone event. She's been on your show a bunch. Wonderful lady. She doesn't explicitly say it here, but I think the guy's talking about her in this because of the issues she's been having with the Métis Nation. And yeah, like I've never even got into it that hard into the paint on this show.
You go pretty hard, but that is a new level.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that.
Nearly 85,000 people homeless in Ontario, up 8% in 1 year. Between 2016 and 2025, homelessness increased 6.3%. From 2021 to 2025, it increased by 49.1% too. And then it goes on to predict homelessness
177,000
projected by 2035. And should the economy take a nosedive, which they say is quite plausible, given the current state, it could go to 300,000.
Okay. So I get the fact that the numbers themselves are a bit alarming, but did you read into the article where they were talking about how this is all a result of the trade war with Trump?
Yes, I did.
And how it's because of underfunding of social programs and in terms of what people can do to end this, we need to fund this and we need to give more money to that. And we need to, not a single person mentioned in this interview said maybe we shouldn't give half our fucking money to Ottawa. Because you know what? If you've only got half of the money you would need to have a fucking roof over your head and Ottawa decided to fuck right off for a little while, you would have exactly the amount of money that you would need to have a roof over your head. And oh no, we're not going to pay for finger puppet transgender bullshit in Zimbabwe for the next 6 months. I'd rather have some fucking shingles.
The Canadian Taxpayer Federation, the Canadian Taxpayer Federation released a report showing the skyrocketing cost of the federal bureaucracy. Key findings of the report include the cost of the federal bureaucracy increased 80% in 10 years. The government added 99,000 bureaucrats in 10 years.
99,000.
The government rubber stamped $1.5 billion in bonuses since 2015. Average compensation per full-time federal bureaucrat is $148,000. There are 146,000 and change federal employees with a six-figure salary. Nearly 40% of the bureaucracy. Budget 2025 entrenches previous bureaucratic hiring spree.
The average wage of a full-time paper pusher for the federal government is $148,000. And on top of that, they've also got the ridiculous benefits. Most of them are fighting about the fact that they're not going to be able to work from home anymore 5 years after the virus got released from a lab. I'm talking about just a generic virus. I don't know which virus I'm talking about. Please don't demonetize us. And the gold-plated pension. You look at that and you're like, $148,000 with a defined benefit pension and stupid amounts of vacation days, there are very few people who wouldn't take that in a second. Like, I'm talking probably fewer than 1% of people would decline to trade whatever their current job is for that.
A restaurant harassed for hosting Pierre Poilievre. A Maple Ridge restaurant that hosted opposition leader Pierre Poilievre and about 40 local conservatives suffered harassment afterward. Quoted, "This was scary for me. It was very bad," said Veronica Reel of Ronnie's Bistro. She explained the harassment went from 1-star reviews and slanderous comments on Google to online talk about boycotting her business. She was afraid of the damage that could be done to her good reputation she has been building for going on 3 years.
This whole thing with the Canadian Brew House, where they canceled whatever the finer details are, there was supposed to be an independence forum thing going on at one of the Canadian brew houses, and they said, actually, no, not only is it not happening, but you people aren't allowed in here. And then they said, we're apolitical. We don't do any sort of this thing. And they said, well, what about the event you had like a month ago for the recall petition? Or sorry, it was like the day afterwards for the recall petition. Happening again with the Canadian Brew House and the Meat Creek sign. I'm not sure what the Meat Creek sign is.
Well, I assume that's what you're talking about. I think she's bringing up.
So they said, we're not political. We don't do any sort of political events. And then somebody said, well, what about this event that you're having for the recall petition the next fucking day? And then they're like, oh yeah, we're canceling that one too. So it was damage control. But here's the thing. Like, you're a business in this economy, in this country. Like, if Mark Carney wanted to pay me to do an event at Vape Vault, I would be tempted to say yes. I'm not saying I would, but I'm saying I would be tempted to.
Could we have an interview by the Sean Newman podcast there? Because that would make it fun.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I wouldn't invite you, though, because you're a dick. But yes, we could.
Okay. Here's one more from Holly Doan. Okay. One more from her. Okay. Here you go. Immigration Refugee Board, IRB Canada, says it needs private sector to help clear backlog of rising refugee claims nearly 4 years long. Board chair earlier described volume of claims as a shock.
Yes. So the one before that, which you missed, is from Lee Humphrey, which X is acting fucky. But the gist of it is that apparently CBSA has, somebody who knows at CBSA has been saying that everybody whose visa is expiring, whether it's a student visa or temporary foreign worker visa or whatever else,
they're now automatically claiming refugee status.
Right. They're claiming asylum, which means that they get to add another 2 years on no matter what. And meanwhile, at the same time, Holly Doan is saying that there are years of backlogs, so much to the point that they're looking for private sector solutions to it. And so I have a really easy private sector solution. And you know what? I'll even be magnanimous about it. I'll do it for $1. I will clear up your entire backlog of asylum seekers. Depending on what format they're in. If it's all paper, I might need a little bit more red ink for the stamp. But say a week. I'll give you 1 week for $1, and I will completely eliminate all of your backlog. And I'll only need 1 stamp. And people are going to say, well, shouldn't you need 2 stamps? You know, 1 for approved and 1 for rejected? It's cute that you think I would approve anybody. At this point, there's been so many bad actors coming in that we need to just say no to everybody. And I get the fact that somebody is going to get deported back to some hellhole that they absolutely should not be in, and that sucks. But nothing is going to be 100% effective, and erring this fucking far on the side of caution has gotten us into a fucking quagmire of bullshit in every aspect of this country.
Coastal First Nations. Let's talk about Carney for a few seconds. Carney didn't meet Coastal First Nations. He met an environmental group named Coastal.
No. Just read what he said first.
Carney says coastal First Nations have stewarded the waters of the BC North Coast from time immemorial.
Yep. Today I met with the leadership of Prince Rupert to talk about how we can work in partnership to strengthen marine conservation and ocean protection and build a strong and more sustainable economy for Indigenous peoples and all Canadians. Well, that's great, right? He met with the coastal First Nations, right? Right, Sean? Right?
Right.
I mean, that's a really important group, isn't
Right.
it?
Right.
Now you go into your bit.
Carney didn't meet coastal First Nations. He met an environmentalist group named Coastal First Nations. Yes,
that represents what, 8 of the actual literal coastal First Nations, of which there are like 60. It's, what was it, formerly funded by the Tides Foundation, originally started off as a subdivision of the Suzuki Foundation. They met with a division of the Suzuki Foundation who said no pipelines are coming in. And they presented it to the people as though it was actually this magnanimous thing. And he met with the coastal First Nations. Well, they're just called the coastal First Nations. It doesn't mean they're actually the coastal First Nations. I refer to my wiener as the biggest dong on the planet. And there are like nearly 3 people in this world who know that that is completely not true.
China.
But I can still call it that. And then people will be like, well, you know, Tooth does have the largest dong on the planet.
China. Biggest security threat to Canada is China. Do you want to show the video? Do we have the video?
Am I going to be able to show the video is the question. And I'm not sure that I can, actually. But the gist of it is that Carney went down to China. He had some people down in Taiwan, got them to cut their trip short because he didn't want to give the wrong message by lending them legitimacy, because, of course, China says that Taiwan owns them. And so Mark Carney goes down to China, despite the fact that in that clip that we can't show you, in the prime ministerial debate, he said that our biggest existential threat is China. Okay? Now, I'm not sure which order to do this in is best. Well, and actually, I can't. It's not coming up anyway. Oh, fire, Embrandt, Stacy. Okay, this is it. This is it. Okay. This is, for those of you watching, watch the guy behind him, whose name is Scott Moe. He's down there because he's trying to get the canola tariffs removed, which are a result of the protectionism for the Ontario EV industry, which is basically non-fucking existent. You had to put tariffs on an an industry that got $50 billion in fucking handouts, and they still need tariffs to protect them from outside competitors. And we think this is a good idea some fucking how, because, hey, the only people it affects are in Western Canada. And what do you mean they want to separate? Is that true? They just all of a sudden? What? It's just canola people.
We've made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
Look at that. Look at that face. Scott Moe sitting there like, what the fuck did you just drag my ass into?
About
now,
1 million memes, too. It's about 1 million memes from that point on. Carry on.
Now, let's go to, I got to find it here. Oh, yes. Now, CBC covered this. And you're thinking, oh, well, isn't that nice? CBC's covering this. Well, they're going to be neutral and unbiased and all of that, stuff, because obviously they have to be. It's important that we have an honest conversation about China. Here's what they had to say.
With China's premier.
It's a partnership.
Oh, look, they've even got the clip. Let's watch the clip one more time, just in case we missed anything.
With new focus and greater depth and a sense of purpose. And I look forward to realizing its promise and building on it in the years to come.
Whoa. They missed a spot. They missed a spot, Sean.
They
Can
certainly
you
did.
believe how crazy that was? Like, what a weird accident. What a weird accident. They completely completely trustworthy. CBC missed that little bit about the New World Order. It's so strange. I mean, you hate to see it. Such quality journalists making a simple and very obviously unintentional mistake. Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Yeah. Here's some reporters talking about it.
We're using burner phones for the first time when we covered this because China spies on journalists and businessmen. China intercepts communications. Is China really the right kind of partner for Canadian industry?
That's a fair question. And yet here we've got a partial removal of the EVs and what sounds like a partial removal of the canola tariffs. You know what would be better? I mean, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember, but some guy who had his elbows in this sort of a gesture said that tariffs are bad. Didn't they say tariffs are bad? They were talking about Donald Trump, and they said, tariffs are bad. These elbow lickers, these elbow draggers kept on saying how bad Trump was for instituting a bunch of tariffs. And yet we put them on EVs, and then we got to the find out stage. Sean, are you deep in thought? Maybe you're trying to just fart quietly.
I'm just waiting for you to finish your thought, Twos. Every time I interrupt, anytime I interrupt,
which happens a lot. There's a lot of people, by the way, saying now that apparently we're, instead of becoming the 51st state, we're going to be the 24th province of China. I would just like to point out the first tweet that said that. 2 months ago, the Globe and Mail wants Canada to be China's 24th province. November 14th, 2025. 222 minutes was saying this months ago. Booyah, motherfuckers. Twos was right of the week.
Are we on to the goofy yet? Or we still got one left? I don't know.
We've got, okay, well, you went out of order with the asylum seekers, as you are wont to do.
Every once in a while, I like to screw you up. Yep. I'm laughing because I'm like, how do I got to move closer to the screen. The sun's coming through the back here. I'll move closer so people can see my face again.
It was better before. Okay. From Nerdrotic, who is actually a really good YouTube channel. You should check them out. Paramount spent between $6 and $10 million an episode on Star Trek Starfleet Academy. They put the premiere on YouTube for free and got 1,300 live viewers. 1,300 people watched the premiere of this new show. Now, I think one of the major backlashes, if you look in the background here, this alien lady is actually pretty typical. There are a lot of high-calorie non-humans in the new Star Trek. They're more worried about being woke than interesting. And, with early seasons of Picard and whatever the hell that bastard cartoon was, Star Trek fans have been a little bit maligned over recent years. I mean, you could even point to Star Trek Beyond as a pretty good example of what the fuck is this.
Imagine spending
$10 million.
Let's just go to the sides, the low end, $6 million
to have 1,300 people tune in.
Twos, how many people did we have show up for the live election coverage?
Just shy of 500,000. And what was our budget for that?
I'm like, I don't know. Was it
how
1,000?
much money did we spend on that? About $500.
Yeah, like I don't know. Was it $500? $1,000? Maybe $1,000? I actually, it wasn't very much. Wasn't very much. Like Star Trek is like a huge brand. I don't know what that should have, but it should be millions of people, shouldn't it?
Like, just think back to how good Star Trek TNG was. and then look at where it's at now and just weep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Did you watch this clip? Did you have a chance to watch this clip?
I watched it. I would be very curious to see the full episode and get the full context of what the heck she's talking about.
Okay. It's difficult. You're not going to follow it if you're listening to it for the first time, because nobody has, because it's this meandering, I don't even know what to make of it. But the latest theory from Candace Owens is that Charlie Kirk was a time traveler.
Why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler and he had to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages? And again, not anything that I would have placed so much emphasis on back when he was saying it, but it came to fruition. The other parts, he did die young. Why did he think that him dying young was necessary in order to change things? He did die young. It is related to Turning Point USA in some way or another. At the very least, we could all agree it's related to him speaking at a campus event for Turning Point USA. I'm totally occupied by this. I tell you, I read these messages and I'm going, what is this? What is reality, actually? And Charlie died. Yes, like I said, it was related to this organization. And I think we would all agree that his death and the manner that they did it changed the world in ways that I don't think we can fully realize, or certainly not in a way that I can articulate. You just cannot pretend that all of this is one big unhappy coincidence. It's entirely plausible, I think plausible, that they knew something about Charlie. And that's why they had him marked and had him monitored and had him likely followed since he was young. And maybe they thought, like the agents think, that if they swarmed him and they stayed with him and they pretended to be his friend, that ultimately they could control Charlie and perhaps change an outcome. They could literally change an outcome related to Charlie. So when for the first time in his life, because I do believe he was managed, I mean, I've already said I was handled. I didn't recognize that I had agents. And for the first time in his life, Charlie peeks his head up and starts to push back in a meaningful way. They couldn't stop him from becoming bigger. That seemed to be inevitable. But they panicked. They seem to have panicked, right? I mean, this is just starting to happen with.
Okay, so basically the gist of it is that Charlie Kirk had to go to the Enchantment Under the Sea dance and make out with his mom in order to get Biff to be the guy who cleans his dad's car at the end of the movie. This is an honest conversation that somebody had and decided to put onto the internet. He walked into the biker bar while Dwight Yoakam was playing, and he said, "I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle." This is it. This is the state of discourse. Candace Owens is at the very top right-hand corner of the crazy hot scale.
Have you? But let me ask you a question too. Have you listened to much of Candace Owens?
No, but
so
this is, I mean, like, what he's
no,
gonna get sent back in time so an earlier version of himself can kill him in exchange for a few gold bars.
It's interesting to me. It's like Candace Owens has had moments where she's been absolutely brilliant. And I go, like, if I was following, if there was somebody who followed every moment along Candace Owens' trajectory, listened to it through her Daily Wire days, maybe before that, to when she gets excommunicated from the Daily Wire, and then goes on to talk about a whole bunch of things, I'd be curious their thought on what was just said. Because I'm like, it's like hopping into somebody's story. It'd be like listening to Sean, I don't know, episode 80, talking to hockey guys, to episode closing in on 1,000 and listening to me talk to, I don't know, I'm trying to think of somebody who I had on recently and being like, what the heck did Sean get into if you hadn't paid attention for like 5 years? So Candace Owens, I'm like, it's interesting. I'm like, I can't follow. So she's saying Charlie Kirk was a time traveler. Is that what I'm getting out of that?
Yes. So he had sent her she was like, I think I'm an alien. And he replied in the text, I'm a time traveler, which seemed like just some friendly, funny banter. And now she's obviously had a difficult time processing this and has now decided to take him literally on that, where there was just this long time period where every morning he would wake up, and then after several failed attempts to murder Puxatawny Phil, he eventually learned to play the piano and got to make out with that chick with the frizzy hair.
I don't know. I'm like, I sit here and I'm like, Candace is a sharp lady. She just is. If you've listened to her break down a ton of stuff, and I'm not sitting here saying I've been following Candace Owens since the beginning, of far from it, but I've listened to her commentary on a lot of things. She is a sharp lady. It's like taking a snippet from Alex Jones and being like, this guy's lost his complete mind. And then you go watch a bunch and you're like, there's some interesting stuff there. How did he get to that level? Now, I'm
pretty sure I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I don't think that Charlie Kirk flew a spaceship into a wormhole so that he could knock a bunch of books off a shelf 20 years before.
It's a great movie, though.
You finally start getting the references. Thanks for coming along.
I'm like, I don't know where to put, like, I mean, it's, so it's been clipped from an episode, obviously. Have you listened to the full episode?
No, I don't think, I think that my brain would turn into mush. Okay. Like I would
don't know.
no longer be an ideal candidate to go back in time and end up with Brad Pitt in an insane asylum trying to figure out who the 12 monkeys are.
It's funny, like the story comes to my mind at least, and I mean obviously it's not identical, but
you're going to talk about Endgame, right?
No, I'm going to talk about Allen Iverson.
Okay.
Right? He's the guy we're talking about practice, and then they clip that, and then it goes viral. And if you never watched like the full interview, you think a certain thing of Allen Iverson, then you go watch the entire interview, and like, oh, that's and like that's just been so it's clipped out of an episode she's done. And I've listened to some Candace, not very much, but I've listened to some, and she's pretty articulate, pretty smart. And I'm like, how on earth did she get to that? I have no idea. I see 3 minutes, and then I'm supposed to make a judgment call off at 3 minutes. It'd be like clipping some of the stuff us two yahoos talk about. I mean, obviously, we're not jumping to those conclusions. And then being
kind of fun. We should just throw in a challenge. You know, you guys should try and find like the most outrageous mashup clips that make us look completely unhinged. I would love to see that.
Well, there you go. There's a challenge for
Maybe
listeners.
Maybe we are. Next thing in the goofy news. So the Department of National Defense for Canada, the DND, not the D&D. That's a bunch of rogues and clerics. This is a bunch of tampon they thems. It's the DND. Looking for a whole bunch of just, low-level worker people. Who can apply? Persons residing in Canada and Canadian citizens and permanent citizens abroad. You could be one of those millions of people claiming asylum right now and get a job working for the fucking army of this country. Does that not make anybody else worried?
Show the videos of the state of roads versus bike lanes in Edmonton.
Okay.
What's wrong with this picture?
Road, bike lane.
What's wrong with this
It's even better though, because Mayor Andrew Knack, that guy with those idiot blue glasses who just got voted in, Andrew Knack, has blocked people from tagging him in the YEG wave, which is kind of like the Just Bins of Edmonton, blocking from tagging him in any of their posts because of how bad the roads have been. This is a snowplow in Edmonton getting stuck as all hell. And I just want to point out, he's not trying to go up, hit the brakes, back up, hit the brakes, and he's got his wheels cranked. There's nothing in front of him. you're going to have a far easier time with this if you straighten your wheels out. Okay? He at least does. Well, his diff isn't even locked. His diff isn't even locked, Sean.
This is great. Keep going.
So, on the one hand, yes, it's absolutely insane that a snowplow is getting stuck in the middle of the residential parts of Edmonton. At the same time, you've got somebody. I'm sensing flip-flops. I'm getting a sense from the universe that there are flip-flops driving this. Okay? And in an effort to curry favor with the people of this neighborhood, he inadvertently got himself stuck. His wheels are cranked and the diffs aren't even locked.
This reminds me of we were moving cattle out on the farm, out in one of the pastures, and the truck driver got stuck on the edge of the road, empty.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Dad had to hop in the truck and help him get unstuck, but he was literally on just like a little, I don't even know how to explain it to do it justice.
He
Like
just got squirreled or what?
He just, all Dad did was lock up the wheels, right? And just back up. Like it was just, but it was a new driver. He didn't know how to do anything in the truck. So when you talk about flip-flops, I chuckle. I'm like, it's probably just some poor kid first day on the job. And he just doesn't understand that, you can do a couple things and you can just get out of this and it wouldn't be that big a deal.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure the confusion is that where they're from, they have these rugs that can just fly over top of obstacles. And here that's not the case.
Well, the guy I'm talking about wasn't from the land of flying rugs. He was literally just some young kid. Regardless, it's funny to watch a person get stuck and realize there's a couple things you could do.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, the roads are so bad in Edmonton that the plows are getting stuck. But here's the thing is that I'm sure that person, whoever filmed that, wasn't watching him come through and be like, well, I'm ready in case he gets stuck. I'm ready in case he gets stuck. I'm guessing they heard him trying to get unstuck for at least a couple minutes before he came over and started filming.
I would agree with that.
Right. This is interesting. I want
CBC News breaking news. Yes.
All right. So you and I have this ongoing confusion about the tow truck cartels and the tow truck mafia and what the hell is going on with the tow trucks and why we're not getting any answers. The two of us together cumulatively. And so, here, sweet. CBC is finally covering this. They did some investigative journalism. We're going to get some answers, right? Let's watch.
Footage showing a suspect carrying a jerry can of fuel, dousing the tow trucks, which reignite seconds later, and then the fire spreads. Police have more intel on what...
And you're looking at the scene in Prince Rupert, BC, where Prime Minister...
They will cut live from our chance to finally get some knowledge, to show a 4-minute video of Mark Carney ordering some fucking pastries.
It's breaking news, too. It's breaking news.
Oh, Christ on a cracker. This one I just found to be legitimately wonderful. So there's some account called Horse Hater, and their profile picture is a no horses logo sign thing. It says, you can tell horses genuinely think they deserve to live. And then an account whose name is Horse retweets it and says, fuck you. It's silly. It's irreverent, but I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay. That's basically where I'm coming from with this. Now, did you watch any of the drivers?
No, I made an adamant after last week. I'm not watching the drivers anymore. I'm gonna. It's better when I watch it live with everybody else.
Oh, here. Thank you. Best part of the show. Zane, you're a beauty. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow or maybe even tonight. All right. Here's what's going on with drivers this week. And if I'd have watched more closely at that picture of the snowplow or the video of the snowplow, it would have been here with this. Via rail train with 124 passengers on board derails after crashing into 2 transport trucks in fucking Quebec. The 2 truck drivers allegedly pulled into a parking lot on Highway 289, parked too close to the tracks, and went to sleep when the train crashed. No injuries.
Wow.
They were tired. They needed to go to sleep. You know, you got to keep that logbook accurate. And they decided to park on the fucking tracks.
Every time I think we've covered everything on this show, too, is you find a new way to surprise me.
Hold that thought. Now, this I think we can get away with showing because the video isn't exactly clear. But Sean, try and describe for the audience what's happening in this car.
What the fuck you doing, weirdo?
A guy's jerking off at the wheel.
Yeah, on the highway. Divided highway.
Yeah, he's on a long drive and yeah.
What's that S&P logo on the back of it?
Jackass.
Hey, your wheels ain't rolling. Hey, your wheels ain't rolling. Oh, you just gonna keep on driving, all right? Look at it.
Yeah. Your wheels ain't rolling. Look at that. Look at that. Just driving along, scraping the wheels.
I wish there was where this was actually at. I wish it had like this is here, you know?
Yeah. Like if it was geolocated every time there's a
Every
bad
time they
driver.
had a video. Yeah.
So for those of you with the class 1, you're going to remember that there is the blue and the red brake. Or pardon me, the yellow and the red brake. So you push in the yellow brake and you push in the red brake, and that means that all of the brakes should be off because it's applying air, keeping the brakes off of the drums. Okay. But in the wintertime, sometimes they get a little sticky. And so you got to give it a little English this way and a little bit that way, and eventually you get them unstuck. Okay. And that's very key. The whole point of wheels is that if you didn't want them to turn, you would just put fucking skis there. So if your wheels aren't turning, you just don't say, they'll figure it out eventually. No, what happens is that you have no fucking tires over there after a little while. The only thing keeping this from being the Bangladesh spark machine all over again is the fact that it's the other side of the axle kind of holding things up a little bit. Did I ever tell you about how I met Shawnee? So Shawnee from the Spark Machine story a few weeks ago.
No.
So I'm in the shop working for this company that does these really technical downhole tools. And so I'm rebuilding this one downhole tool and I've got it, exploded neatly. Everything's all laid out. There's 100 pieces here. I got to change out all these O-rings, all these glide rings, things like that. And I'm just working away. And then there's this guy, I've never met him before. He's working on the bench next to me. And then as I'm working away at my stuff and he's working away at his stuff, it was a fairly big company at the time. And he just kind of looks over at me. And we haven't even, this is literally the first thing either of us ever said to each other. He says, "Do you like the Royal Crown?" I'm like, "What? He's like, "The Royal Crown. Do you like it?" I'm sorry, dude. What is the Royal, what are we talking about here? The Royal Crown. Okay, I get the fact that you keep saying that, but I don't know what it means. Whiskey. Oh, you mean Crown Royal? Well, yes, obviously we haven't met before. Yes, I do enjoy whiskey. He says, "Oh, that tastes good." And he keeps working away for a couple minutes. He goes over and he says, "Are you excited for days off?" I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty excited for days off. Look at what we're doing today. Yes, I am excited for days off. "Oh, that is also good." Working away. A couple minutes later, he says, I have a bottle of Royal Crown, and I have a box of beer. There is this girl. On days off, she is going to come over to my house. We are going to drink the Royal Crown, and then we are going to drink the box of beer, and then I am going to bang her. The fuck is this guy? That's how I met Shawnee.
Okay. Do you want to go to the sports desk?
No. Well, yeah. So this one's kind of a crossover. This could have also fit into drivers. But this is, and you should really be watching this. The audio is wonderful. If you have just fractional knowledge of German, the audio is wonderful. But the video, this is Team USA with German commentary on the 4-man bobsled.
Ist der beste US-Amerikaner. Oh, was machen Sie denn da? Das gibt's doch gar nicht. Hat man sowas schon mal gesehen? Jetzt fährt da ganz allein im Vierer hinunter. Verrückte Situation. Was ist denn heute hier los? Francesco Friedrich fährt gegen dieses Starteck. Und jetzt gibt's den Vierer als Einerbob. Da stimmt natürlich überhaupt nichts mehr. Die ganze Statik des Bobs ist kaputt. Die fehlen als Gewicht da hinten drin.
So, for those of you listening along, the 4-man bobsled team, the second guy going in, tripped on his way into the bobsled, laid everybody else out, and now this guy is going down the 4-man bobsled
by himself.
Solo. There is ein person in the bobsled.
I don't know why it's so funny. It's just funny.
Well, it's just like, and it just had to be with the German commentator. And then actually, if we wanted to look at it real quick, he comes around. Oh, no, wait. Here we go. So he's coming up. So he's got a steer in the front. And then the two people in the middle, I'm not sure what they do. They're kind of like the Manitoba and New Brunswick of the bobsled team. But you've got the guy in the front who's steering the whole thing. He's the Alberta. And then the guy in the back who puts the brakes on everything, which is fucking Quebec. And so they, unlike our confederation, actually have to work together. And so he's the only person in the Bobcat. And so he's steering it. But then when he gets to the end, there's nobody back there to do the brakes. And so he does this little dipsy doodle whirling dervish.
Nach Hause, da ist er im Ziel und dreht sich um. Wo bitteschön sind denn die anderen? Und jetzt ganz schnell nach hinten und ran an den Rechen. Perfekt.
Ah, the Draken. That's how you do the Draken. So he hops all the way back. He does the shimmy, shimmy, shimmy through seats 2, 3, and 4, and then he gets back there to throw the brakes on. Well done.
You know, on this show, you just never know what you're going to get. That's you got a good idea of what's coming. Every once in a while, Twos finds a way to surprise us all, I think. What's next, Twos?
Well, this is an interesting little bit of fucking around and finding out. It's a minute long, so we'll play the whole thing. The point is keep an eye on the dude with the camouflage and the flag in the United States, which, for the record, generally, if you've got all that kind of aligning, not necessarily a person you want to overly antagonize. You may, for example, not want to be putting a megaphone into the side of his head and playing it at max volume. Let's take a closer look, shall we? And just like anything else in life, the people who don't want to get involved are the last ones that you want against you. Now, I just want to point out that the guy who's been the big instigator on this has a mostly red jacket with black arms. That's going to be important later. Oh, wait. Boom, uppercut, knocks him down. And then starts throwing haymakers at everybody. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, you're protesting ICE? Well, here's a far left for you. Boom. Knocking that guy down. Here comes the first guy all over again. He managed to get himself up off the ground, and he said he's still hungry. Please, sir, may I have another? Boom.
If you've never been in a fight before and you see that going on, maybe just stay to the sidelines. Yes, Twos?
Yeah. And you know what? If you were the first, like his feet are just like right up in the air at a 45-degree angle where it's paused, and dude's already cocked to give him another far left. Like he's already got the next guy teed up.
Yes. Well, I mean, he's got 40 people around him, and
he's just laying them all out.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys would have a better chance in fights against red-blooded people from Kansas if you had higher bone density because you ate soy a little bit less often. All I'm saying is that your entire ethos is built around this being the worst possible situation to find yourself in, and yet you're still running towards the knuckle sandwiches? Eat the bugs for a little while, do a montage, then come back and try and test this guy.
Happy news?
That was the happy news.
Oh, that
Look
was
at his leg.
All right. Community notes.
Some thin-skinned people need to start getting throat punched.
Community notes. If you didn't know, the Mashbiel is in Kalmar
Sold out,
tomorrow.
so good luck
Sold
next
out.
year. But signing.
Yeah.
Petition.
So one of the things that's happening is we're going to have canvassers there to witness signatures. This kind of came out of nowhere, and so we weren't talking about it a week ago. Maybe 10 days ago was when we weren't talking about it. Maybe in the last week we've been talking about it.
Actually, there was like 30 some years that we weren't talking about it, Sean. But yes,
fair enough. Regardless, from lunchtime, I believe right now is when they're showing up to witness signatures. So don't show up first thing in the morning if that's what you're wanting. The curling starting first thing in the morning. We're excited to have 16 teams coming. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. Twos is already annoyed at me because I didn't put us in the same pool so we could play each other. I just figure let the best rise, Twos, and let's see if we can't meet in a championship game and have all eternal glory for the next year of who won the Mashbiel. That's what I was thinking.
I'm good with that's fine. You better have like a Ouija board over there with Sandra Schmurler's ghost telling you where to put the brooms so that they know exactly what weight they need for the takeouts.
You mean I just got the biggest, most badass people to come play with me. So I just feel like
Sarah Hoffman is coming.
Either way, we got the Mashbiel this weekend, so that's gonna be a ton of fun. A whole bunch of people who've been on this show are gonna be there, including Jamie Sinclair, Lise Merle, Eva Chipiuk, Marty up north, Chuck Prodnick. Who am I missing? I'm missing a couple. I'm sure I am. But regardless, it's gonna be a fun time. And
Lise Merle, Sheila Gunn Reed.
Yep. I said Lise Merle, didn't I? I think I did.
Oh, maybe you did. I kind of
not listening.
I tune you out after you talk for an hour and a half.
Yeah, after I talk for 2 minutes, tunes me out. Right? Isn't that right?
Anyways,
folks?
the point is it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be really there to enjoy ourselves, and I think that if it goes as well as I'm hoping, we're going to have a roughly equal breakdown of people who say we absolutely need to do this again next year, and we need to do it in a way bigger facility with thousands of people. And there's going to be the other half of people saying we absolutely need to do this again next year, and we need to do it with no more people than we're here today.
I guess we're going to find out. It's going to be a fun day. So if you're wanting to sign the petition, you can do that And then, of course, if you want to show, or if you want to come witness some great curling in action, I don't think that's what it's going to be, but certainly you can come see the Mashpeel, Kalmar, Alberta tomorrow. So that's exciting.
Yeah,
And
Zane's going to be there. Squirrel Nuts is going to be there. There's going to be a whole bunch of people coming out. I may actually be set up at that point to take signatures for the petition as well. I got to check the mailbox on my way out of town.
And then Cornerstone 4, we mentioned it earlier, but March 28th, it's coming to Calgary. And the latest edition or newest edition this week was Neil Oliver. So Neil Oliver is going to be in Calgary March 28th alongside, Martin Armstrong, Larry C. Johnson, Tom Luongo, Alex Trainer, Matt Ehret, Chad Prather, Vince Lanchi. Oh, wait, the Premier is going to be making a stop as well. So Premier Daniel Smith is going to be speaking for a short period there as well. So you can get tickets on for that still. And that's coming March 28th in Calgary at the Westin Calgary Airport. So that's exciting times. But the Mashpeel, yes, tomorrow. It is finally here. We've been talking about this idea. It's funny, too. I was explaining this last night that we did the comedy tour through Saskatchewan.
Yep.
And then we've taken a hiatus of doing anything like that for, I think it's been 2 years, correct? And Tooz has been on me about a Bonspiel for 2 years. And I'm like, oh my goodness. If anybody is reading between the lines, Tooz is the curler of us two. And he's been finding some way to have that win over me. So I tell you what, bring your best curling, buddy, because I'm hoping I'm going to train this afternoon.
You're going to go train this afternoon.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be throwing some rocks. I'm going to be ready for you. If we meet on either side of this thing, I'm going to be ready for some trash talk of me versus Tooz.
That's why you're going up early. That's why you're there in town early.
I'm going to make a
whole. Gotta worry about all this setup.
I'm going to make a whole video of me training, throwing rocks. I'm going to have the Rocky music in the back. It's going to be amazing.
Mental progress, and
that's right.
And then someone's going to be like, "This is the hog line," and you'll be like, well, "Why did they name it after Tooz's penis?"
Yeah.
February 14th and 15th, Big Jack Classic at Buffalo Lake. $6,000 in cash and prizes. So if you like fishing, go to that. And if you don't like fishing, you should go to that so that you learn how to fish.
You have the SPP, Saskatchewan Prosperity Project, along with the Prairie Rising Forum are in, they're all over the place in Saskatchewan, but Militant Hall, located 16 miles north from Maidstone, Saskatchewan. That's Sunday, January 18th, coming up here. So you're meeting at 2 p.m. Mountain or 3 p.m. Central. So you got that coming up.
Lori says the best donuts are at Kalmar Bakery. And Carol says we need some bloopers from this. So actually, you know what? You guys should actually, if you're coming, have your cameras out on occasion.
Yeah,
record the fun ongoings and shenanigans.
For people who don't know, the Mashpeel has been Tooz's idea for probably like 4 years. Since I've known you, you've wanted a curling Bonspiel, have you not? Like, am I speaking out of turn?
No. I just, well, like I was trying to say to Nick the other day, the thing about a lot of people in kind of this space, not all of them, but a lot of them are really stuffy people who take themselves incredibly seriously. And I think it's really important to not get caught up in that. And I think it would be a lot of fun to do something that's just completely the antithesis of what a lot of them are doing and wanting to be. And so this is, you could have some pretentious thing at the Petroleum Club where we're all going to have a bunch of caviar and I'm going to stand around for an hour telling you how smart I am. And then we'll do a quick little photo op afterwards. Well, no, if Tooz is doing a thing, we're going to eat a bunch of rink burgers, drink a bunch of Pilsner, and have an awesome time.
Somewhere Sinclair is salivating. He's excited. He has been excited about this thing for 6 months? And we found him a safe ride home at the end of the night, which he's been asking on the show for forever. So shout out to everybody that's coming and looking forward to it. It's obviously just around the corner. We're less than 24 hours away from doing curling. I got some training to do this afternoon to make sure that I'm ready to go so I can either meet Tooz on the A side of this thing or in the old toilet bowl side. Either way, I'm good. As long as I beat twos, if we meet up, I'm a happy guy. That's full stop. All I need from this weekend. Excited to see everybody travel safe. That's going to do it for another mashup. 191 twos. We're closing in on 200. If you like the show, make sure to share it out, and we'll catch up. To you next
share, and hurry hard.
And we'll catch up to you next week. I'm sure with a few stories from the weekend. But yeah, every weekday or every week on Friday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Until next week, folks. Twos, as always, we'll catch up to you here later tonight. But certainly to everybody, travel safe, and looking forward to seeing everybody at the Mash Spiel. Twos, till next week. Well, who am I kidding? Till tonight.
Till tonight. Sheldon. Oh, who's not playing the exit music now?
Welcome to the Mashup.
Tell me whether I'm wrong or right. East or west, up or down, side to side. I sit.
He doesn't even know how to play it, folks. Yeah, that's right.
Popping, locking, salsa dances on demand. I follow leading
Hi,
off the
everybody.
map. Stop the chatter, scream
Notice
happily.
he's also not playing the exit
Welcome to the
video.
mashup. Welcome to the mashup. Welcome to the mashup.
Welcome to the Mashup.
It's all about timing, twos. It's all about timing. We'll see you this week, folks.
I think we're about past time to play the